that bandage kind of a thing, and that will actually what do you say? It'll prevent those bones from like kind of moving. You'll heal faster. So you'll heal faster if you get that. If not, it'll take a long time for the healing process if you just leave it loose. I experienced once like that, so that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Yeah, when the hurt happens, you just have to be in the same resting position of the leg or whatever for like at least sacrifice for just 2 days or 3 days, and then you'll be fine. If you don't take care in those first 2-3 days, right, what happens is it just prolongates the what do you say, the healing. And mine took
Yeah.
almost 7 months. Yeah, so
I'm
that's
taking care of that.
just make sure you put that in that white cast or whatever. They'll do something. Just you have to keep it over there. That's it. Just 2 days, little discomfort, you'll get well really fast.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you like to start reading?
Yeah, sure, Matri. Yesterday also we had, and then I think maybe we'll be just covering a few verses from yesterday's. It's hearing, right?
Yeah, as Maitreya. Yeah,
Okay.
you can start from hearing his sons because that's the conclusion of
Hearing his son's sincere prayer, Brahma's heart changed. A sense of remorse overcame him, and he cast off his previous disposition. The lusty temperament that Brahma shed appeared like a thick fog that cast everything into darkness. So since we just read a little bit of this from the original Bhagavatam, just wanted to comment over here that this thick fog, right? This he will actually feel so much bad that he will give up his old body, and this happens in one of the kalpas where Brahma has not heard the Srimad Bhagavatam directly from Krishna, because our Brahma, right? He heard Bhagavatam directly from Krishna, and Krishna said, "I will protect you in this, everyday duty of your creation. You will not fall down." That's the promise Krishna gives to our Brahma. So this episode of this fall down, whatever happened, is in one of the previous kalpas of some other Brahma. So that is a very interesting point to know. And also like how when Brahma hears Bhagavatam, the potency of Bhagavatam is so great that this Brahma is like for sure he's not going to fall down. I believe that's also mentioned over there. So we were just like contemplating like how great is the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. And also this thick fog of cloud that of ignorance and everything, this dense his body will when he gives up his body, it becomes like a thick fog. One second, man. This thick fog which casts everything into darkness. So this fog, right, and then it will be dissipated only in the bright light of the sun. So like the bright light of the Srimad Bhagavatam will dispel all these doubts and all these other material desires that we will have in our hearts also. So it's kind of like symbolic, like an analogy of that. So that is what we discussed. Exactly there we stopped yesterday, Mataji.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. And then also like what we covered the previous verse, like how if this can happen to Brahma, what about like other ordinary conditioned souls, right? So that part also Prabhupada is like mentioned.
Also, it's amazing the potency of being a devotee, right? So like, I mean, it's not that every Brahma is pure devotee, but our Brahma is. That point is also very relevant.
Yeah, and our Brahma is a pure devotee because he gets to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam directly from Krishna, because I think he is a pure devotee. Krishna will reveal all that to him directly. So that is so nice, right? And then Krishna is personally promising that he'll not fall down. So that like two things happens for our Brahma. So which is just, yeah, it's really, really very, very
in
precious.
Madhva Sampradaya, the whole sadhana, everything, the path is geared towards becoming Brahma, basically. And all those strict rules and regulations, it's very, very difficult, obviously, to become Brahma. And so much austerities in this. And I'm just thinking, like, for example, there is the next Brahma is already set. Who is going to be the next Brahma is already, next Vayu also, like Vadiraja Tirtha is going to be the Bhavi Samira. Next, like that. So there is a whole, the queue, the waiting list is already like set. And how much austerity it takes to become, how much, so many lifetimes of dedication and sadhana. Even after all that, if the Brahma could go through this kind of lust and everything, we can imagine, how difficult it is, and how difficult to get pure devotional service and to become pure devotee is how difficult. And I'm remembering the other verses which speaks more and more about like there are sages and saints, and there's so many sages, right? They're trying to do so many tapasya, austerity, this, that, but they fell down. But when somebody is like Haridas Thakur, right? He was chanting the holy name, and his attachment to the holy name, protected him. So there's a huge difference actually by when we are like acting according to Krishna's will, nothing can touch us. But when we are doing our own with our own strength, right? When we are doing austerity and sadhana, and based on our own strength, anything can happen anytime.
Yeah, that's so true. Something was coming in my son was like running. Sorry, I lost my thought. Yeah, what was the thing that was coming? Like how when yeah, this is also something very interesting that I read in that thing. Yeah, I remember what I wanted to share. Like Prabhupada says, this is a fit way for fit way of repentance. What Brahmaji did, like giving up his current body for the abdominal sin that he did. Like he actually, it mentions that he's just thinking about that in the mind. It doesn't mean that he actually indulged in it. Just by thinking in the mind, the other sons were so aware, like they could understand the mind of Brahma, what they were doing, what he was trying to do. And then Marichi and then all the other sons, right? They will ask Brahma. And ultimately, who is their resort? It is Vishnu itself. So they are all praying to Krishna to protect the father, and then he'll feel remorse. So even though he's not done that, right, but then he's just contemplating, but still that is also supposed to be abdominal. That's what Prabhupada says, and this is a fit thing. That means he giving up that body is a fit activity. So I was just thinking, like, Vishnu Jan Swami, he was like a great kirtanier, and then Prabhupada he really loved him. He used to say like he's come directly from the spiritual world. His kirtan is like that. It'll just transport you like that. And I'm not sure whether he taken the sannyas was given to him, or I'm not sure about that part. But something will happen. Some fault, something happens, and then he actually asks Prabhupada. He doesn't even mention that I did this, Prabhupada. So what should be done? He just when he's asking the spiritual master, he's just telling Prabhupada, if a person does this particular thing, what should they do? Then Prabhupada said, oh, this is really bad. If the person does this, they should just give up their life at once. And then this person actually goes, and then in the Triveni Sangam, right? He'll just go, and then he will just give up his body. Yeah, and then he'll never come back. And then people didn't they'll realize that he's gone. Vishnu Chan Swami. And then some people, like, the comments were like, he should have at least told that I did Prabhupada, and Prabhupada, his maybe Prabhupada would have his whatever solution might have been a little different, because he spoke in a third person kind of a way. Prabhupada just generally answered, like, he was saying it. So that is some one thing. But also look at that, look at the like some people, like you were talking about the God brother, we like how he gave up when we were contemplating and thinking about what could be the reason. But some great souls, they might feel like, it might be something so trivial also, but they might feel like, oh, this is so bad, like, let me give up. We don't know the intention with which they gave up and why they did that. Vishnu Swami, just imagine Prabhupada, how he used to glorify him, how much he loved him. He used to say his kirtan, it's directly anybody who hears his kirtan will be transported like that. That was the kind of that was the words of Srila Prabhupada himself about this person. So with what mood, what is the intention? It's very difficult to contemplate. And we also
Mm.
like referring to like how our current in our previous times when the kings used to rule, right? If a thief is like, what do you call, if a thief is if he murders somebody, like a person murders somebody, and then the person is caught there, the judgment that was given to them is to be hanged, right? The person had to be hanged. And that is the right kind of judgment, because if he was not hanged, because he took out the life, if he wasn't hanged, what will happen is he'll have to suffer a lot in his future, in the future lives, whatever, he's going to suffer a lot in hell. So at least by making him give up the current present body, by giving him death penalty, right, the king is doing the right job. But now these days people are doing very much horrendous kind of crimes, still that kind of judgment is not given, even if they are dubbed, killing and murdering and doing so many things, they're not given. So they'll have a even more hellish future lives. So that is something that we discussed yesterday too.
Mm. Mm. Wow. A lot of growing up to do with this reading.
Yeah, right. And then Prabhupada is saying in the end to find out like Vishnu never gave up on Brahma. It was like just as for Vishnu, for Krishna, he just forgave him because he's Brahma. And Brahma never lost his position as Brahma, and he just forgave him. So we need to also understand like people, even if they do some like whatever, if there's a fall on whatever, right? We're just judging. Instead of judging, we never know what is their relationship with Krishna. For Krishna, they might be still very dear, like apichet
Yeah.
duracharo, like that accidental fall down. For the Krishna still considers them a sadhu, like that, right? So when we are like you're judging, so I was also thinking, we should be very. I mean, I should be like very careful.
Mm.
Why should I judge another person? What is their relation with Krishna? We don't know, right? We really don't know. For in
True.
Krishna's eyes, they might be very, very dear, and it might just be an accidental fall down, accidental only. It's not like
Mm.
they're whatever. They're contemplating and they're doing it. Yeah, that's also one thing which we kind of came we were discussing. Accidental fall down, Krishna is like he just forgives.
Mm.
Contemplating and doing it, that's a little more serious, right? There might be some reactions for that. I'm not sure. But this Brahma never loses his position as Brahma in Krishna's eyes. He still, Krishna forgives him, and then he still keeps him in that position. That's mentioned over there. Ultimately, even one beautiful thing that I liked was like how the sons, they ultimately are turning up to Krishna. So somebody in the high positions, or if they're doing something, who can we turn to at that moment, right? Other than the Lord Himself.
Right.
Correct.
True. That circumstance happens to us all the time. I mean, you heard about Mayapur, right? There was this Maharaj. We all figured out that he was kind of fooling all of us. You heard about Bhakti Vidyapurna Maharaj. So,
Yeah, right, right, right.
so it was so shocking at one point. What do? We do? We just go to Krishna, because
Yeah,
for some people, he was authority, he was everything. And then when this happens, when we put faith in a human being, we can always be I mean, he was very knowledgeable and all that, nobody like he's one of the most knowledgeable persons in the world, and still
mm,
see weakness of senses can happen even to the most knowledgeable.
mm, right, right. Mm,
I mean, it was a shock for the community, they're still, some of them are still recovering from it.
mm. It's the same thing like the sannyasi. As brahmachari can, I just today I was saying, like a brahmachari can actually come down, I mean, go to the position from a brahmachari ashram to grahastha ashram. It's totally fine. Like, it's just a graduation, I believe, and then they can go into the grahastha ashram and continue their thing. It's not like a fall down. When a brahmachari wants to get married, it's totally fine. But when a sannyasi, he comes down, back and he wants to get married, that is not accepted. That is supposed to be very, very like Prabhupada, of course, accepted many people even if they did that. And they said, okay, fine, if this is your thing, you continue on. He was so magnanimous, Prabhupada, when you see like that. Like Mahaprabhu, he was. But according to the Shastras, so that's why sannyas is not given to everybody these days. But that time Prabhupada had to do, he did, and he knew the limitation. He just, accepted. Okay, the grahastha, continue teaching like that, he said. And according to the Shastras, when sannyasa ashram, they should not fall down because everybody is looking up to them, right? Like
Yeah.
even that's what the sons of Brahma say. Hey, you are the spiritual master of the entire world, my dear father. If you are going to do, everybody will follow your actions. So that's the reason. Please, give up this idea. And still he doesn't. That's when they pray to the Lord. They go back to Krishna and say that nobody can, what do you say, protect, guide other than you. And after reading that, when I was in the morning, I was talking about that lotus feet of Krishna, right? I was like, wow, that's the solution. Like his lotus
Mm.
feet is so powerful that yes, lust can be like whatever, lust, the three modes, the three kleshas, everything is just like put to rest by taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. That is the power of his lotus feet. Yeah,
Yeah.
so beautiful. So beautiful it
And
is.
I don't know, like I was thinking in terms of uh, sannyasis
Mm,
falling down. I mean, still it's better. I mean, like there are so many people like Harishori Prabhu. There are so many people who were sannyasis, but then they became grihasthas. It's not ideal, but then they continue devotional life in a decent way. But then there are so many other sannyasis who were trying and pretending couldn't and fell down, and they took so much faith of all the people. Um, some of them even Prabhupada didn't make them sannyasi. You know, like Bhagwan Maharaj, Prabhupada didn't make him sannyasi. It was just the trend that after Prabhupada left, there was the trend that you have to become sannyasi, and he had small kids and all, and he left and he became sannyas. Obviously, he didn't stay. So I'm
mm,
just saying that there was too much emphasis about sannyas ashram, and they
mm,
didn't realize that that's not so important, because
mm.
sometimes preaching can continue very nicely without sannyas ashrama also, but
Correct,
when they
correct.
prematurely take sannyas and try to push that, then it all
Mm,
fell apart.
true,
um,
true. That's
and,
exactly
and
what
and
happened.
and then, in terms of these people like this recently Bhakti Vidya Purna Maharaj and all that, yeah, as much as we can understand, oh, it'll be very bad for the society if he whatever marries or something, but it's still better than what happened, in the sense it's always better to reveal our where we are at, instead of pretending to be something we are not, you know.
Yeah. It comes back to what we are talking about dishonesty, right?
Yeah, I think
Being
in
very
his case
honest.
he had problem being honest with himself, so it was
Correct.
mostly like that issue, because we keep
Mm,
telling, I mean, I was thinking I can understand if somebody is in that position. They may think, oh, it's better to remain sannyasi, so everybody thinks that I'm okay, and I'll try to speculate how to resolve my own
okay.
desires, in a way as much as possible secretly, so that nobody's faith will be disturbed. But secret is always gonna come out
Mm, right.
if we can't. I mean, it kills, no? It's the conscience just gets. We get burdened by the carrying this kind of thing as well. Like when we pretend, it's a huge
Yeah.
burden to carry. Not easy.
It's difficult to chant also when we are pretending.
Yeah, that's so
It's like
true.
the core thing, it's a core thing. Like, how is your chanting? If it's like, okay, I just like, it's a reflection of how we are conducting our day, how we are conducting, how everything is happening. Once
Wow.
you also said, like when we are giving priority properly to Krishna, then everything is set okay by him, right? When the priority is not given to him properly, then and also Krishna just makes it very evident, so that if there's too much of deviation, one more thing that I heard was this was what I heard that when there is a small deviation like that, Krishna is like always forgiving. When it's like a grave deviation, Krishna will expose it to everyone, so that this person will feel like whatever there'll be like humiliation and stuff like that, right? And then he will just be away instead of like being and continuing to do the crime and having a very difficult future, future life and devotional life. Instead of that, at least if it's like kind of stopped, so that he will not be able to do so much of aparads, so that will be stopped by exposing this fall down. This is
Mm.
Krishna's way of protecting him. It is not about Krishna trying to putting a stone on him or something like that. It is Krishna's way of protecting that
Yeah.
person from doing much more horrible things, which will actually affect his own devotional service. So instead of that, okay, if, then he'll feel very much like, I don't know what all will happen, but this is Krishna's way of protecting him.
Wow. True.
Yeah,
It's true. Like, when parents ground their children when they do some nonsense, right? It's basically meant that they don't do more nonsense.
yeah, that's all. That's all it is.
Yeah. Would you like to continue with
Yes,
the
Matthew.
like,
As Matthew, as Matthew's account, ended, Vidra looked relieved. It seemed that the merciful Lord saved Brahma was, after all, his sincere devotee. Indeed, it is only by his grace that anyone can be protected from the allurement of lust. Maitreya agreed. To emphasize Brahma's greatness, he recounted how, by Krishna's grace, the Vedas manifested from his four mouths. When did this happened? Asked Vidura. It was when Brahma was considering how he should go about recreating the universe, replied Maitreya. You see, the method of creation is given in the Vedas. Therefore, the Lord imbued his heart with that knowledge to help him carry out his service.
That's also
Along,
very, that's also a sweet, like as it says, Krishna is beyond. He doesn't just judge us or identify us with our mistakes. He sees the bigger picture. Um,
mm,
Brahma's greatness, he made him, the Vedas come from his mouth. Like he gives service regardless of the weakness because he sees beyond. Whereas human mind is to see, only the mistake. Like we throw the
mm.
baby with the bathwater, so to speak.
Baby with the backward. What's that, Mataji?
Yeah, like when we see some devotee has a problem, we want to like discard that person completely.
Mm.
We don't separate the two things. Like, okay, okay, you wash the baby, you throw the water, you don't throw the baby also with the bath water. But
Yeah,
as an
yeah.
organization, as a society, we tend to do
Mm,
that. We throw the baby with the bath water.
mm. Got it, got it. Yeah, right. There's also there's a question to you, Aditi, that when we see a devotee having whatever we call some bad behavior or something, right? It is stated that we should avoid such association, even if the person is like a devotee. We should be like careful to associate with like an offender or something like that, right? So that we don't take up those um, those qualities. Like we need to be careful with our association, who we are choosing to associate. That is there, right? Perhaps that's the reason why people are doing like that. But higher authority should be able to like correct and gently ask them if they're like forgiving, and then if they're okay to continue their service. It's if they're asking genuine forgiveness and then they want to continue their service, it's really nice to have a conversation at that level, so that the mood is set in the whole
Yeah,
congregation. Correct, no?
yeah, yeah. I wish, but even leaders have their own obligation. If everybody starts saying, "Oh, why you're encouraging this person who has all this weakness to do," and they also don't know what to do. I mean, it's a difficult position to handle. Uh, Whatever you call it, people who
Yeah.
are convicted of some error or something.
Mm. It is difficult. So then, if the person is still continuing, right, we should be like very, what do you say? The person has got so much of faith still, that should be like encouraged. If the person is still continuing to be a devotee, chant, follow the regulative principles, all that, right? It's supposed to be a glorious position because the person has actually had a fall down. He's felt humiliated, but he doesn't want to leave Krishna. But look at his faith. It is glorious, and we need to encourage those people. That's what I heard.
Yeah,
We should not like
I
throw
think
them
it's
out.
also the
We should feel
attitude, right?
like, hmm,
If somebody comes out clean and admits and wants to
yeah,
correct themselves, then
yeah,
that's why even in law, when a person admits to their crime, their
mm,
punishment is less. But then
mm,
when they defend and try to escape, etc., and they get caught, it's much more.
mm,
So it's not by chance, right? That repentance, that admission to guilt, it has
mm,
its power to,
mm,
fasten, yeah, make the recovery faster, make the be forgiven faster. So it's the
mm,
attitude. Sometimes we see, okay, somebody had weakness with something, I don't know, smoking or drinking or whatever, but then they really want to work on themselves. They come with the attitude of humility, it's easier to give them space.
mm.
But then if
Yeah, right.
somebody is denying again and again, and then they keep doing it again and again. Like that, it becomes difficult to
Yeah,
give them a place, to trust them.
correct. Correct.
Even in like prisons, like good behavior can reduce the number of years of punishment, for example.
Yeah, right. Correct. There's pardoning also, right? Like the president, I think the president like pardons those who are
Mm,
sentenced for life. If they, it's all based on good behavior, exactly like how you said.
mm. So I feel the same even with our. I mean, sometimes in ISKCON, they're not given chance actually. Some people who commit some crime or something, they are ostracized from the society in such a bad way that they just want those people to be killed. They don't want that person to even live. Because again, no, there's so much, especially see, if somebody is an ordinary person, like just a normal
Mm.
devotee, okay, he's a grihastha living, okay, he hurt his wife or something and he's drinking or beating the wife, or I don't know, I'm just giving an example, or cheated on the wife. This, that, if he's a normal person, it's not such a big deal. There's somehow something. But when somebody is a leader, it becomes very difficult. It's very difficult
Yes,
for
yes.
people to forgive because
Mm. Because faith of people is involved, no? That's
yeah,
why. Faith. Yeah.
yeah, faith of people, and also I'm saying the weakness of people can be. I mean, I see often also some Indian students of mine. They have
Mm.
a tendency to think that anybody who is in position of leadership is infallible. They start following
Yeah,
them with that expectation,
correct.
and then and they start to attach special attributes to that person, and this and that, and then when that person has a fall down, they can't handle it, and then the way they do it is to become very harsh or like that, like, because their expectation has been crushed, no.
Correct, correct. Yeah. So true. Somehow, like I think we grew up in that kind of an authoritarian kind of environment from childhood, right? Be it school, be it at home. Those when authorities were like they always had the final say. We always looked up. That kind of submissiveness is very much inbuilt in Indian minds,
Yeah,
I guess. Like the brought up
i
is
think
like that.
I think
So
there's
it's
a big
down to be
difference
like that.
between a religious leader and a
Hmm.
spiritual leader. Religious leadership is what we have been accustomed to, the rishis and the munis and the Indian guru system. There's not so much, we don't hear so much fall down, not so much at all.
Yes,
But
yes.
but in a spiritual movement, we are all in a hospital, we are all getting well, we are all sick. So it is expected that we may have problems, whatever it may be, different kinds of problems, maybe with anger, maybe with envy, maybe with dealing with money greed, or maybe with sensual weaknesses. Somehow, when we follow somebody, if only we could follow that person in a realistic way, and not to
Yeah.
kind of attach extraordinary attributes to that person, we will be more of a healthier organization. Instead, when we expect, and Western people are little better at that. Indian people, we are not so good with that. We tend to kind of follow, it's kind of very religious type of thing.
Yeah, that's right. Um, Own body. May he protect. No, no. Same page we're there, right?
Yeah, I think we can end here. We can continue tomorrow.
Yeah, sure, Mataji.
Yeah. We stopped here. Tomorrow we'll continue here along with the Vedas, what all become manifest from Brahma's. Because today was, I mean, personally for me, all these points are very relevant. So I need to, I need to digest this.
Sure, Mataji. Mataji, please, like, what do you say? If you have time, just do a small, like, like maybe even a 10 minutes, like about this journaling. I requested you, right?
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
just like
Okay.
whenever, just one session, like on a Tuesday morning. I don't know. Tuesday morning is a Gita, right? But basically, in the end of it, like 10-15 minutes. I was just very interested to know about it. Or if you have any classes which you've already done, if you could share that, that also would help me.
Actually, we did have the recording. I'll try to find it.
Okay.
Otherwise, maybe we can do it on Sunday or Tuesday. Tuesday, we can do that. Instead of Gita connection, we can do journaling on Tuesday.
Yeah, sure, Mataji. Sure. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. Have a nice, wonderful Krishna
Hari
conscious day.
Om.
Hare Bol, Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.